in the information that was given to me to look at to supplement the data, there was nothing in there for those, that size of a turbine, nothing. I found the data being old, 2007. The current one was 2018, which was referencing 2013. I have a windmill company all around here that should have the data for the bats and the birds. What you cited was out west, Alaska. It did have generic in the east. Did 22 facilities, 549 animals, birds. I didn't think that was a lot, but I don't know. There's just not enough data in there. And I would look to the planning board that should have done a full seeker on it. That's my take on it. And yes, Jack, I did look at it, and I did read it. And here are all my notes, handwritten, 2 pages.
Good job, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Good job, Cheryl.
And
Mr. Supervisor, is it appropriate to respond in terms of clarification?
Sure,
to those comments? I think it may be helpful. What you said before about seeker and the training of the planning boards, that's not incorrect. Typically, planning boards are trained in seeker because typically planning boards go through the seeker process with commercial development that's in the town. And I understand Article 10 makes it a little confusing because this wind project won't go through that typical seeker process. But with respect to local laws, any local law the town has ever passed or will pass or whatever has to go through seeker. That's solely the town board's job. The town board doesn't defer to the planning board to do seeker on a local law. It's completely the town board's job to do seeker on a local law. The other thing,
unless they appoint a different
Right.
lead agency.
no, so the only body under general municipal law, it's the town law, that has the authority to pass, to enact local legislation is a town board. So the town board has to be the lead agency with respect to a local law. It's the only body that's approving the local law. So it's typically a very ministerial action because local laws rarely have EISs associated with them because they typically, in and of themselves, the change of the paper doesn't have an environmental impact associated with it. And in this case, this isn't even a comprehensive change to the local law. It's only a change with respect to the height. So you had mentioned earlier the ag districts were implicated by the project and by the change in the local law. But in fact, it's not looking at where the towers are located, and it's not looking at whether or not those have impacts to the land. It's only looking at the difference in the law to increase the height, and the increase of height in and of itself doesn't have an impact to an ag district. It doesn't change the land use in the ag district. So
Sure it
I
does.
just
This is a
so I just
zoning
wanted
law.
to clarify that it's a little bit when the town board is acting on a local law, it's a different
I
review.
know
It's a
what you're
narrower
saying,
review.
but you requested us, we would, and I'm gonna agree with them, we would not even be looking at this, but you approached us because you have to make a difference to your wind turbines. We would not even look at this. And therefore, to me, it would affect those because that's where those turbines are gonna be located.
Yes,
And I'm
that's
gonna have to
true.
agree, you should have gotten a special use permit or a variance.
But the problem is, so state law preempts this project's requirement to get a special use permit or a variance. And the type of environmental impact review that you're talking about is something that will be done, as the supervisor said earlier, during the amendment process, if an amendment goes forward. At that point in time, the siting board will dictate what environmental review, what environmental studies, all of the information. I know you guys have the volumes here, the full environmental review that was done for the original
out there.
project. Right. So all of that will still be done on the project. It just, Article 10 doesn't require us to have to get a special
But
use
Article
permit.
10 will look at what our local law says.
Yes,
And
correct.
that was the key point when you started this. They
Correct.
wanted all of our local laws. So if we go ahead and change our local law, they will assume that we have done the test.
With respect to one thing, so a perfect example of this would be the town has an opportunity, once the amendment is put forward, to participate in the Article 10 process and to raise the concerns that you're mentioning with respect to ag impacts, with respect to whatever impacts that you wanna talk about in the environmental process, in the environmental review. So I think that that opportunity is not lost on the town, regardless of how it acts tonight. And then that would be the appropriate time to do that environmental impact review, or argue for whatever scope of studies that you wanna see and anything else. So, and you referenced the bird studies that were submitted as part of the record. The data was just available as the data that's available. The post-construction monitoring data on the Cohocton turbines is not publicly available. And so the reason why that information is provided is because that's what's publicly available. But for the Article 10 review, for the project changes for Barron, that will have to go through the Article 10 process. And the data will be updated as needed, and studies will be provided as needed, and that review will happen. It just doesn't need to happen on a narrow change to a local law.
It's not a narrow change.
Point of order, Mr. Supervisor. Was there a motion and a second?
Yes,
All right, so at that point, you made a statement, and any town board member can make a statement. It's not for some
but I,
attorney.
No,
I hear.
No, no,
she
you
requested
I understand
the
it,
response.
It's
but
okay.
you don't get into public debate after a
It's
second.
okay, he's just telling me.
Okay, I understand that, but this could go on. This could have been brought up during the, during the proposal. My point is that it's not for him or me to communicate. Point of order is, you had a motion and a second.
And we're having our discussion. And one of the board members requested some information from somebody that was here to be
She did?
able to provide it.
I
Yes,
thought
she
you
did.
just typed in.
No, I said it was fine.
Could I just quantify that it's a zoning law, which falls under different criteria than just a law to go over the 2% cap. A zoning law is something that the neighboring town should have been notified, that there's no way that the 239 was satisfied.
The point that I'd like to make on all this stuff while we're doing this discussion is the fact that the town passes an amendment to allow the height to go up to 650 feet doesn't give carte blanche to every wind developer that wants to come in here and put up towers. They still have to go through everything that's required under Article 10 by the state of New York, which includes up to and including any similar things to a seeker or environmental assessment forms or anything else. Before they have approval, they had to go through that before they got the approval from their existing application. And this would certainly require them to make an amendment to the state under Article 10, if in fact they want to go forward with a higher turbine. All we're doing is saying that the local law, we're amending our local law to recognize the new advances in technology and everything, to allow them to go up to 650 feet. That's it. Everything else, it gets then, they're required to comply with anything that comes up through the state of New York through Article 10.
But with what you know, does it feel right?
Yeah,
Okay.
to me.
Okay.
Feels good to you, Tom.
It doesn't with me.
So, my biggest concern, because I haven't really said much in the last few meetings on this. To your point, sorry if I don't remember names, but I've done some research. I haven't been able to read everything Cheryl has. But I haven't seen the research for the 650 feet towers. I personally haven't. And I do have my concerns with the noise. I've never been really against the windmills, but these towers we have now are loud. I do a lot of stuff on these hills at night, and these towers are not quiet, especially in the wintertime. They are even louder in the winter. And I have a concern with bigger towers. They are gonna be louder, and that is my biggest concern. You lose the peacefulness of this town on these hills with these bigger towers. You
Mike,
hear
can
them from a hill away, just whipping in the wind. You hear them turning.
Mike, can I
They are
just
loud.
jump in there for a second? I live right over here on Beecher Street, and I can go out my back door, and I can hear all of them every day when they're going, and I'm standing out of my back door, and I live right here in town.
That's just, my biggest concern is the noise. I think we're kidding ourselves to be told that these towers were quiet, the ones that were brought in to begin with. I don't think they're as quiet as we're all told they are.
I do not believe that,
We're still complying with this. But the other thing you ought to remember is, there's proof right now, 4X number of turbines go up for that's already been approved. So what you're actually talking about is difference.
I wanna make a statement.
They can't do
No,
it.
we're done hearing statements. This is a board discussion on a resolution, so,
Now we're done.
is there any more of the
They
board
can't
that
go
has?
louder, they
No,
have to
they
be at
can't.
50.
No, actually, for Barron,
My
they have
pos-
to be quieter than that.
My position somewhat mirrors things we've been saying, but, I mean, as a town, we decided a long time ago, we're gonna partner with wind projects for a multitude of reasons. This notion of increasing the height, I know some people will take quarrel with this thought process, but the height is just a number. Now, you may say the height brings with it certain attributes, like a visual impact difference, perhaps shadow flicker difference, perhaps a noise difference. These are all things that are gonna get evaluated in the Article 10 process. So all we're really doing is saying it can be considered. The wave of technology seems to support that this is something we should be able to look at. I don't wanna say whether they're good or bad based on a height difference. I want the vetting to be done with studies and a process by the board in Article 10. I wanna give them the opportunity, if they choose to use it. They may have a 650-foot turbine that just knocks the socks off of anything we got at 420 feet. I don't want to discount the possibility of that. So Wayland and Dansville are already on board with this thought process. I think we should allow for the possibility of better technology. And the other thing is the financial benefits to this town, which are great from the current situation, will be that much better with the increased capacity that might be available for these larger wind project turbines. So that's where I'm coming from on this. I don't wanna bottleneck it with a number. I want the facts to speak for themselves.
And in order for that to happen,
We have to
something's
pass the
gotta
law.
precipitate it. Right. Any other discussion from the board? Martha?
Councilman Smolla?
Aye.
Councilman Dusenberry?
Yours was very good. Oh.
Yeah, but you've got the paperwork right there in front of you, Cheryl.
I know I do, but they keep telling us that Article 10 is gonna do this, and I wanna make sure Article 10 does this.
Yeah, but what haven't they already done? You just gave us a whole
And-
bunch of information.
When they do it, we get the reports back, correct? And do we get to counter on it? No, we do not.
Yes, you
Oh,
do.
yes, you do.
We do?
You're an
Yes.
active participant in the process every step of the way.
If you go to the hearings, which
Yeah,
only
the
around
hearings will be
town
They
is
were,
everything.
we had the hearings in Ornell and
Is
Fremont.
that what goes on?
So were they
So
So are you
announced?
going to redo this all over again
Yes, we are.
with the
We have to.
hearings? And the public can go? Now, what about the, we chose 4 people. We never
That
heard a
was our
thing. We
candidates
don't know
for
who
the
our,
siting committee.
for the siting committee, who our representative was. We were never told that.
We don't have one.
So where is that?
So, for the Barron project, I do not believe that the legislature made a selection for an ad hoc member. I know that the nominations were made, but I do not believe the ad hoc members were ever picked. That's the legislature. That's,
The county would have picked that?
the county picked 2, you guys picked 2, I think the other towns put in at least 2 names each too. So,
We should be able to check that, Cheryl, and get a
Right.
copy that goes on the siting board.
All right,
Um,
then I'm gonna say yes because of what the county has done. Because I'm gonna put the onus back on the county if our seeker comes back that it wasn't done correctly, because I don't think it was. Yay,
So-
yeah,
Supervisor
yes,
Johnson?
no.
Aye.
Councilman Gilman?
No.
Councilman Towner?
Now, we vote on the local law number 4, amendment to,
Did that pass?
It
That's
did.
what you just passed.
Doesn't it need to be the super
it is,
majority?
it is.
4 out of 5?
One more than than the
I-
majority.
I think my math skills are lacking right now.
Cheryl voting for it.
Don't feel bad, Russ, I'm confused
Yeah.
too. Now we need a motion on local law number 4, pass for the amendment.
I'll make that motion to approve the amended local law.
And a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? Martha?
Councilman Small,
Aye.
Councilman Dusenberry,
Aye.
Supervisor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Gilman,
No.
Councilman Towner.
Last month, we approved the changes to the host community agreement, permitting agreement with Canandaigua Power Partners. The only thing we forgot to do is authorize the town supervisor to sign them. Need a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? We already did that last month. Martha?
Just authorizing the town supervisor to sign any necessary changes to the host community agreement.
And to the, let's say,
Permit oversight.
permit oversight agreement for both Dutch Hill and Cohocton projects. Remember when we talked about the changes, the updates to the host community agreement with Canandaigua Power Partners? So we approved of all the changes, but we're not trying to sign it. Are you ready?
Councilman Small,
Aye.
Councilman Dusenberry,
Aye.
Supervisor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Gilman,
Aye.
Councilman Towner.
New business. The town board received a complaint from Mr. Wolf about 59 University Avenue. That